To chew on the Lunchroom on RCI, Monday to Friday, 12:45 to 2 p.m. The Lunchroom, informative, enlightening, provocative, engaging. The Lunchroom on RCI, food for thought. The station that gives you, more lunch.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. It is Thursday, June the 27th, 2024, and this is program number 1203 of the Lunchroom. I'm your host, Calix George Jr. Now, in addition to 101.1 FM radio, you can get us at our website, rcisaintlucia.com. All our previous shows are downloadable on that platform as well. You can also reach us on Facebook. We're live streaming. And just search for the official page of Radio Caribbean International. You can find us there. You can also send in your comments on that platform. Please like and share that link as well with your friends and family. If you want to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, the number to do so is 4523046. Again, 4523046. And you can also save our WhatsApp number. It is 724-0008. And that will allow you to message in to us or as well, or to call in if you want, especially if you're overseas. And you can do that by calling in to 724-0008 on WhatsApp. Bit of history for today. Well, we'll go back to the year 1743 during the War of Austrian Succession, as it was known. King George II of Britain personally led Allied troops to victory in the Battle of Dettingen in Bavaria. And that was, in fact, the last time a British monarch commanded troops in the field. In the year 1923, Captain Lowell Smith and Lieutenant John Richter, were able to perform the first ever aerial refueling. And that was in a DH-4B biplane. That happened again, like I said, in 1923 on this day. 1950 on this day, North Korean troops reached the city of Seoul, causing the United Nations to ask member states to aid South Korea. And Harry Truman ordered the U.S. Air Force and Navy into the Korean conflict. 1954 on this day, the first nuclear power station in the world opened, and that was in Obninsk near Moscow in Russia. 1967 on this day, so the world's first ATM, an automated teller machine, being installed by Barclays Bank in Enfield, London. And in 1994 on this day, Aerosmith became the first major band to let fans download a full new track free from the internet. We now move on to our dish of the day. The daily dish is brought to you the kind compliments of our good friends at Tiles Plus.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+, with all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gasway and vanity. Books, doors, you'll see. Come down to my nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses Grizzly Lakes, and Flag Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome to our program here at the Lunchroom at Radio Caribbean International. Now, of course, there's been a lot of conversation about citizenship by investment. And of course, that is it's actually continuing in light of the signing of a memorandum of agreement between the OECS countries to effectively create a more level playing field and standardizing how things are operating across the CBI programs in the in the Caribbean, in particular in the Eastern Caribbean. Now, of course, the one of the major principles at play is that individuals are uh, looking to get a second passport. In some instances, they're actually looking to get citizenship, and which would then enable them to get a passport. And we've discussed, of course, the principle of that. Some passports are stronger than others. Some passports allow you to visit far more countries than others, and of course, there's in fact even an index which is looks at the strength of passports, and that's developed by a company that's been in the business of interacting and dealing with high net worth clients, and that is Henley and Partners. Now, that whole concept is one, of course, which is pretty important. High net worth individuals, HNWI. And of course, as when we look at the world, in as much as, of course, we sometimes look at a country's GDP, and we of course know that there's some large countries with very sizable gross domestic products. It does not always show the total picture of what is going on. And of course, even when you look at GDP per capita, that's also another important measure to look at what is the size of the GDP of the economy per individual. But the concept of looking specifically more at the very, very wealthy is something that companies like Henley and others are actually very much interested in. And of course, the concept there is that these are individuals who can potentially invest, these are individuals who can bring in economic activity, and they can therefore generate a lot of economic activity within a country. Now, of course, here in St. Lucia and in the Eastern Caribbean, the CBI program is not necessarily so much geared towards bringing these people physically onto the country, into the country. And of course, that may be different from other places, because you do actually have individuals who want to leave the country where they've actually made their wealth, and they want to relocate, they want to find new areas. And so there actually is quite a lot of migration and movement of these individuals, particularly because they are very wealthy, and in many instances, their wealth is liquid. That is to say, they can access their wealth anywhere in the world. They can move it around. It's in cash or in some sort of instrument by which they can make transfers, and it can move, and the money can move where they so desire. They can keep the money where they so desire. And of course, that is the whole matter of international financial services, and how companies as well as individuals place their wealth into other jurisdictions outside of where they've actually necessarily made their wealth. And they do that for a number of different reasons. Of course, quite often, many may say it is a form of tax evasion, but they will see it as a matter of tax avoidance. And of course, as a result of that, countries have different policies in place to, in fact, attract high net worth individuals, and to make it easy for them to be able to live in a particular country. Now, of course, a lot of these programs are interrelated, but of course they are different. So when we're speaking about financial services, there's that aspect, and we know countries like Switzerland and Luxembourg, they've been in the business for quite a while. But of course, in addition to Monaco, another good example, that enclave principality on the Côte d'Azur, the south coast of France, has also been a place of lots of high net worth individuals, and they are attracted to these enclaves quite often because of the tax avoidance that these places afford them. And of course, they would tend to be very, aesthetically beautiful in places like Monaco, for instance. But sometimes, like the Cayman Islands, for example, Bermuda, many of these enclaves have been hoping to be able to attract these types of individuals. And of course, their wealth, so that even though they may only be taking off a small percentage from these individuals, maybe 1%, maybe 2%, but it's 1% or 2% of a very large amount. And it sometimes is, in fact, sufficient to support these countries, which will tend to be small states with small populations in any case. So that system, of course, has been around for quite a while. We're very much, I think, familiar with it right here in the Caribbean, with a number of these types of programs, and from the British Virgin Islands to Cayman to Turks and Caicos. Many of them, of course, are British overseas territories, interestingly enough. And even in the Channel Islands, similar types of programs have come about to attract the wealth of these individuals. But in many instances as well, these individuals want to be able to move, and that has actually been happening. And as I mentioned earlier on, Henley also is engaged in some degree of monitoring these types of movements of the very wealthy around the world. And so the looking at the migration of these individuals gives a sense as well of where they want to live, and of course, by virtue of them wanting to live in that area, you would then have to ask yourself why would they necessarily want to go away from the place of their birth quite often to a country that may be very distant away and may very well not afford them some of the privileges that they may actually enjoy in the country of their birth. But that is exactly what happens many a time with these countries. And so a look at that aspect, I think, is pretty interesting. Now, if first and foremost, who are the places, or what are the countries that have lots of high net worth individuals? And of course, you can pretty much guess that up on the top of the list, in any case, you're dealing with the United States, which is, of course, also the wealthiest country in the world. But and of course, China as well, a significantly large proportion living in China. But by far, the United States has the highest proportion of what are known as ultra high net worth individuals. And that is defined as persons with wealth greater than 50 million. Now, of course, there'll be different definitions as to how they measure this, but in quite often that is one measure that is used. And a lot of this information I'm talking of is coming from Credit Suisse's Global Wealth Data Book from 2022, and you have 53% of the world's ultra high net worth individuals living in the United States, with well over, in fact, 140,000 people in the United States living are being considered ultra high net worth individuals. China follows with about a number in the 30,000 or so individuals, and these by far are the highest, and followed by Germany, and that figure is about 10,000. Canada with about 6,000. India about the same. France, Japan, France, Australia. I mean, all of the others are relatively small in comparison to the United States of America. And so that is instructive, I think, in that context. Now, those are the ultra high net worth individuals. When we speak about the high net worth individuals, and again, there's a different bar that is being applied there. This is individuals who have investable assets of at least 1 million US dollars in current exchange rate terms. So, in other words, their money they have to have a certain amount of liquidity. So, it's not just a matter of real estate. And of course, you could have lots and lots of real estate, yes, but they're actually looking at the amount of liquidity that these individuals actually have. And so, that table, as you could well appreciate, when you look at it, United States again by far is on top of that list with 18.2 million people considered to be high net worth individuals. So there are 18.26 million United States citizens who have assets, liquid assets of over $1 million US, right? Which they can easily move around and invest or use for whatever purpose. And so that just gives you a sense of the extent of the very wealthy in the United States of America. That is followed by China, where they have, although it's of course one of the most populous countries in the world, nearly 1.4 billion people, about 5 million high net worth individuals. And I must point out that the data that we are looking at is from 2020. So those figures, of course, may have increased even more. Japan with about 3 million high net worth individuals, United Kingdom with 2.3 million, Germany 2.1 million, France 1.9 million. Now, of course, many of these countries, as you can well appreciate, the populations differ. So, for instance, look at the case of Germany. Although Germany has a population of nearly 90 million, it in fact has, and the United Kingdom has a population of about 64 million or thereabouts. The UK actually has more high net worth individuals than Germany. France, with a population similar to that of the UK, has even less, 1.9 million. Italy, 1.38. Canada, 1.2. And that figure continues to go down. You will have countries even like Singapore in the mix there. Interestingly enough, although it's only a population of 5 million people, it has over 187,000 high net worth individuals. In fact, it has, you compare Singapore, the next on that list is actually Brazil with fewer high net worth individuals, but a population of nearly 200 million. And so it is really interesting to look at some of those figures because effectively, what you will see is that those are the pools. That is the pool from which a lot of the individuals who are interested in actually getting a second citizenship or a second passport are actually going to be coming from that specific pool. So, of course, what is interesting, though, in that entire mix is that you also are seeing a shifting around the world of where these individuals are actually moving to. And so there is also another study that is done that looks at the migration of high net worth individuals year by year. And that also, as I said, is an undertaking that is done by Henley, looking at these individuals and where they are moving to. So, for instance, in the case of 2023, when you looked at the map of the world of where are these individuals moving to or leaving from, in fact, the largest number of millionaires leaving and migrating, getting out from that particular country, the largest number is actually China. And in 2023, 13,500 high net worth individuals left China, right? So basically, we've mentioned earlier on that China has nearly about 5 million, 5.2 million high net worth individuals. Well, about 13,500 of them left in just the year 2023. And so you will find that from country to country, there is this ebb and flow of individuals. India, which wasn't very high up on the list, which we were mentioning earlier on. In fact, there are about 705,000 high net worth individuals in India. But of those 705,000, 6,500 of them left India in the year 2023. Other countries that are experiencing their millionaires leaving include Russia, where nearly 3,000 individuals left. Brazil, which we were talking about just a little while ago, a significant population, 1,200 of their millionaires left for other countries. Mexico, about 700 of their very wealthy left. South Africa, about 500 of theirs left. Japan, South Korea, Hong Kong, all experienced declines. And where were they going? Where were the major areas where these individuals were actually headed? Yes, some of them were heading to the United States. About 2,100 migrated to the United States, 1,600 to Canada. But the places that a lot of them are heading, some of them to Europe as well, some of them to France, some of them to Switzerland, yes. But the major gains were actually being seen in Singapore, with about 3,200 new millionaires heading to Singapore. The United Arab Emirates, that's Dubai, with about 4,500, and Australia with another 5,200 new. In fact, that was the highest for the year 2023. 5,200 high net worth individuals heading to Australia. What you will find quite often, of course, is that the individuals may be shifting. They tend to shift to a place that may be not too far away from their place of birth or where they're coming from. So for that, I mean, a lot of the Brazilians are quite likely heading to the United States. If we had the data that for places like Venezuela, for instance, we've seen a considerable exodus to the United States from Venezuela in recent years. In places like India, quite likely a number of them are heading to the United Arab Emirates. Interestingly enough, on this list for 2023 was that of the United Kingdom, where there was actually a decline of about 3,200 of their millionaires during that year. In fact, since Brexit, about 12,500 millionaires have left since about 2017. About 12,500 left the United Kingdom. So you can see the impacts of certain policies. You can see the impacts of. So it's not. Sometimes it might just be that the person wants a change of scenery. Yes, don't get me wrong, or they want to live in a tropical paradise and they want to get away, or they want to get into a place where there's more sunshine. And there are those types of reasons why these individuals are moving. But they're also quite possibly also moving because of the wealth that is available. They want to actually be closer to other wealthy people. And so, for instance, when you look at the United Arab Emirates and Dubai, that's one of the major drivers there. They want to actually be in Dubai, because Dubai is actually also making it one of its strategies to actually attract people of high net worth. And so it's interesting, of course, because the Caribbean quite often has been thought of as a paradise, as a place for people to retire and a place for people to come and enjoy the sunshine. I'm not sure of the data with respect to the Caribbean in that regard, because the reality is that although we're actually in the Caribbean selling lots of passports, these individuals are not necessarily migrating to the Caribbean. They're not necessarily living here, and then, of course, having the kind of net economic impact that one may even expect to see within the Caribbean. That's our dish of the day, and perhaps we can continue discussing it a little bit more after we take in our weather report.
This has been The Daily Dish.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A plus. Need all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gasway and vanity. Books, doors, you'll see. Come down to my nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses Joe Lanes, and Flag Street in Viewfort. Telephone number 453-7939.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home. Really? Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with these tile stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up. What are you looking for? Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle dazzle. Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my number one store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for.
That sounds perfect.
I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation.
I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Robbie Bay, and Viewfort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And that's of course the 1.1. It's now time for your weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Talent Bar. The forecast for St. Lucia valid for the next 24 hours. Winds will be blowing from between the east and east-southeast near 17 miles per hour or 28 kilometers per hour. With the fair skies becoming cloudy at times with occasionally light to moderate showers. The forecast for the Lesser Antilles, fair skies becoming cloudy at times with widely scattered showers. And the tropical weather outlook, patches of low-level clouds drifting along a moderate easterly to northeasterly wind flow will cause some showery periods over the region during the next 24 hours. A tropical wave located over the central tropical Atlantic is moving westward near 9 miles per hour or 15 kilometers per hour. This wave is expected to begin affecting the region late Friday into Saturday. Also, another tropical wave located over the eastern tropical Atlantic continues to produce disorganized showers and thunderstorm activity. Environmental conditions are forecast to be conducive, and development of the system is anticipated. A tropical depression or tropical storm is likely to form this weekend, several hundred miles east of the Windward Islands, while the system moves westward at 15 miles per hour or 20. We'll read this line over Windward Islands. All right, another tropical wave located over the eastern tropical Atlantic continues to produce disorganized showers and thunderstorm activity. Environmental conditions are forecasted to be conducive, and development of the system is anticipated. A tropical depression or tropical storm is likely to form this weekend, several hundred miles east of the Windward Islands, while the system moves westward at 15 to 20 miles per hour, or 24 to 31 kilometers per hour. And this was your weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Talent Bar.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home.
Really?
Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with the style stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up.
What are you looking for?
Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle dazzle.
Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my number one store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for.
That sounds perfect.
I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation.
I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and View Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
And welcome back to the lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. Of course, if you want to call in to tell us what's on your plates today, the number to do so is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. You can also message in via our WhatsApp, and that is 724-0008. Now, we were just speaking about millionaire migration, high net worth individuals, and of course, the implications of that. We quite often have a conversation, we hear about foreign direct investment. This is, in fact, part of a strategy by some countries to, in fact, encourage foreign direct investment, actually encouraging entrepreneurs to come to a country and to, in fact, invest in that country. Now, there are some projections that are already available for the year 2024 for this year, and some of the trends are continuing. As we mentioned, China this year, another 15,200 millionaires are expected to leave China. And remember, we said that that's a country of about the second largest in the world, about 5 million. Now, it's interesting because here you have the United States on the other side of the coin, which already has a significant population of the very wealthy. It is, in fact, more than half of the world's high net worth individuals. But yet still, they're still attracting even more. But China, on the other hand, number 2 in the world, is actually losing its high net worth individuals. The United Kingdom, which has been the highest on the list in Europe for a good while, they are actually the second fastest losers of millionaires in the world. That is a projection for the year for the year 2024, with 9,500 fewer millionaires being on their shores, or millionaires leaving the United Kingdom. That's the net impact that is being projected, and that's very telling because we did point out Brexit as a major shift, but also the current state of the economy, of course, issues there, things like that, of course, would tend to encourage people to move elsewhere. And other countries that are losing, are continuing to lose around the world. India, with about 4,300, is third largest number there. Japan and South Korea. Sorry, Japan is actually increasing, but South Korea expected to lose over 1,200 millionaires. So it doesn't sound like a very large number, but when you think about their wealth, it's a pretty important impact. Russia will be losing 1,000, and you can well appreciate the issues in terms of war there or any type of political instability. Nigeria and South Africa, uh, although of course these are two major superpowers, well, economic powers in sub-Saharan Africa, and they are both expected to lose millionaires. South Africa has had a very large concentration of millionaires over the years. A lot of them, of course, as a result of this apartheid and the differences that you actually have there, but with issues of load shedding, electricity issues, water issues, things that may potentially make people worry about quality of life. They, in fact, are seeing an attrition of their millionaires. 600 of them are expected to leave South Africa in 2024. 300 Nigerian millionaires expected to leave as well. Brazil also seeing losses there. And the trend in terms of the pluses, those who are gaining. I should also mention in the case of Asia, there are also some countries like Taiwan, even where they're expected to lose 400 millionaires. Vietnam as well, that country becoming a lot wealthier. They're also seeing the exodus of millionaires. Sometimes when people actually make a lot of money, they believe therefore they need to be somewhere else. That's the challenge that um, any country can face, developing country that is. And of course, on the pluses, those who are gaining, the UAE is in fact number one with 6,700 new millionaires going there, 3,800 to the United States, followed by Singapore with 3,500, then Canada 3,200, and Australia with 2,500. Now, what is also instructive, and it comes back to the point regarding the impact of some of these moves, is that some of these individuals are actually entrepreneurs. So, in that list of high net worth individuals, about 20% of them are actually entrepreneurs. These are people who are looking to actually invest. These are people who are likely to make an impact in terms of business, in terms of job creation. And that's a really important factor within this context. In fact, when they look at the centi millionaires and the billionaires, people who have $100 million or $1,000 million and more, that number is that proportion of entrepreneurs is even greater. About 60% of those billionaires who are actually moving are entrepreneurs, and they're looking at actually making investments. In the case of the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, they have a strategic focus on economic diversification. And so they're looking at people who can therefore invest in tourism and real estate, financial services, and whatever the case may be. So it is, in fact, part of that approach that the UAE, that Dubai is actually utilizing as part of its wealth creation strategy moving forward. So, right here, of course, in the Caribbean, with our CIP, the CIP is one aspect of saying, "Hey, would you like to come and invest?" Now, CIP in the first instance should have and has always been and should always be about how are you attracting investment, right? And that's a really important aspect. Now, you're attracting investments in a particular project, and of course, this is why you have these real estate components. And at one point, there was, in fact, even a requirement that the individual had to physically come to the country at least once. Now, I think that requirement was actually taken out, and so in effect, you could be living in India or China, or wherever you've actually going through, whichever agent you're going through. And of course, Dubai, the UAE is in fact one of the largest markets right now, which is why countries like St. Kitts have even established embassies, diplomatic presence in these countries, and CBI offices in those countries, so as to offer these individuals the possibility of having a second passport, which would then make it easier for them to move around. So that's where the market is. And in effect, they don't ever have to come to the country. Now, by not insisting upon that, some people may say, well, that's an attractive thing. But then you also have the other issue, of course, of should there not be some direct benefit in terms of your tourism, in terms of, uh, the presence of the individual and them spending money in that country? This is something that the Canadians and the United States, through their own immigration systems, they see it as part of the package, right? That you actually have to physically spend time in the country. You've got to have residence in that country. So therefore, you can pay taxes in that country. And so it's not just about, in the first instance, just getting the passport. In the way that it's currently structured, the individual can effectively get the passport and has almost zero real connection with the country that they're getting the passport. Is that something that should potentially be looked at, and to say, hey, should we not be getting a little bit more out of this program, uh, more than just simply that one-time payment that is being made by that individual? Now, that's a big issue that I think should potentially be looked at in this whole matter of CBI. Now, I think we've got a call coming in, so we're going to go to the phone lines to take in a call. And we're just about to get it. Good afternoon and welcome to the lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. Nothing much.
How are you doing?
Fine, and you?
Very good, thank you. And what's on your plate?
Yes, so basically, I'm trying to describe a situation, right, which I probably find myself in. As a St. Lucian, I'm saying, well, I have my passport born here. I think for instance, just to use myself as an example, right? I tick all the boxes, right? Except for a case where I had to actually, the government took me to court, and it has to do with something that concerns all St. Lucians, concerning how they could probably get a repatriation or get something without, if the guys are ready yet, but at least, you do something for yourself to get some form of recourse, at least a fight back, right? But there again...
Sorry, at least a what? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, to get some form of redress, you understand? For St. Lucians to get some redress, I mean, you do something that would probably light them up so that they could actually get together, or they could benefit from something that you have done, right? Like a certain matter, like a case. How you call it an example, a case, an example?
Because I'm not sure that I'm following what you're saying.
Yeah, when you have a case like Way versus Road.
A legal case, okay,
Right, yes. That would exemplify the whole thing you're dealing with. Like, for instance, in Lucia, you may have a problem with a land issue, and that other people would benefit from the success of it, and we cannot.
By establishing a precedent of some form.
Right.
Okay.
And basically, that should be what the blueprint should be made of in terms of how the country should be run. So legally, I mean, if, for instance, for example, I'm 65, right? In the process, I had all of these misfortunes where I cannot experience and I cannot benefit from what's going on in the country. Then I would figure, well, most people cannot. So I would insist on my case, but then society, the only thing society has to do is to prevent that from coming through. So that's the phenomenon I was trying to explain. Why is that happening? Or if it's possible that that could happen, or if that has happened in your experience. Where there's a force that's trying to, counteract,
Oh, I'm not sure that I'm completely following what you're trying to say, but I mean, if you have a legal matter that's before the courts,
well,
we probably will not be able to get into that in any case.
Okay, no. Well, okay,
So-
I'm saying that is settled, right? For in fact, even if you go to the point where that is settled, like government tell you, well, you need a document, and you get the document, then you cannot go further because, they insist on you not. They probably give you a bribe and tell you stop, and then you can't get it to the point where people will say, okay, that gentleman is all right, because the rumors will be circulating in the community, and your life could be in danger. Now, before you try to get into that, it's difficult. You may have to turn it into a political matter because, as I said, it's not your personal gain. It's something to do with what's happening in the country. Now, if you cannot deal with all the issues in St. Lucia, you cannot rule St. Lucia. That's the problem with our ministers. That CIP thing is one of the worst things that could ever happen. And I'm sure no St. Lucian support CIP, but keep on doing these things. So if that case probably could come out and probably I could get an interview, a proper interview, because you haven't even get a proper interview. The press hardly engage in that sort of serious thing where you have in America. I'm not saying to be a rope, but like any other on the internet, you're not free to do that on a public radio as such. But when you look into the person's personal in development and their interaction, you should question somebody honestly instead of just jumping on the getting either red or yellow.
All right, caller. Thanks very much for your
Sorry,
contribution.
1 minute.
Not too sure that we're actually going to be able to get through exactly with what you are saying at this point, but I do hope that you can get some assistance. And if you're saying that you needed an interview, I'm sure there are many media houses that could potentially you can approach to have that type of engagement. Of course, the number to call in is 4523046, 4523046. Now, the matter of citizenship, and of course, how do you get people to actually come in and to have that willingness to actually invest? And one of the approaches that many countries have been using is that of working with their diaspora. We, of course, are very much familiar with the reality that many St. Lucians went away over the years. They are now at a point where they've done very well. Sometimes they've actually gotten children who were born overseas and who've gotten to a point where they actually have an interest in making investments as well. Let's take a call at this time. Good afternoon and welcome to the Lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Good afternoon, colleagues. George, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you doing?
Not bad, not bad. But I must say, filled with a lot of disappointment. You see, I've been following this. What CBI?
CIP, CBI, yes.
CIP, yeah. I lose track on the name. Imagine that. And I mean, when I listen to politicians on both sides of this political divide, it more confirms my whole move, my whole conviction that this whole political system that we have in this place, this red and yellow, have to really be scrapped. Because I'm so annoyed, especially when I see young people going into that system, and they follow the same track of those older folks. The same track, they follow the same track of the Comptons, the Kenny Anthonys, And, and we can't get nowhere. Hold on 1 minute. I'm so disappointed in Ernest Healy. So disappointed. I mean, when I hear his response, his statement, so what is he telling me? What is he saying to me? That those same people that we know the history and we follow the history of what they've done to us from the beginning to the end, they are the ones that are so controlling the selling of our passports that today, if I need to get information as to what amount of money you amassed from it, how many was sold, you're telling me that you have to go and consult with them? I have a problem with that. Where are we? Where are we, Calix?
Well, they're supposed to be accounting for the CIP on an annual basis, inclusive of providing information on revenues that are coming in. So I'm not sure precisely in terms of the context of what you're referring to in terms of whether he was asked a question about the program and he was not able to give a specific bit of information, but there is supposed to be information
he's saying
available.
That he has to consult. He cannot give the information. He has to consult with people like Caribbean Galaxy. I think the reporter was asking him, because he said in his speech, he said that there was a total of 1,004, something like that, passports sold, right? But I think the reporter was asking him, like she wanted to know the total amount of money that was amassed from that and that sort of thing. More, at least a little more detail. But the detail is not, is basic information to me, basic information that the country, the people of the country deserves. So if I tell you I sold 5 apples and I'm asking you, okay, how much you amass from that?
Because well, there should be a breakdown.
You may sold each apple differently. You may sold one apple for $6, one for $5.
Right.
How much you made?
So I think what you're saying basically is that there should, because as far as I understand it, I mean, you have, if there was an amount that was given, let's say 1,000.
No, you hear you talking, Calix, as a man of the media. You hear you talking as far as you know. So which means
no, caller, but you're not even allowing me. Caller,
we are not even 100. 1 minute, we're not even 100% as to the details of this fund, this CIP thing, you know.
Right. So what I'm saying is that as far as we know, because you just quoted a number of 1,400, which I think was mentioned in a speech that was given by Dr. Hille.
Yes.
So I'm saying in addition to that number, there should be a breakdown as to how many were sold under the different categories. So how many were under the government bonds, or how many under the real estate, or how many under... I mean, that is not unreasonable, certainly.
Exactly. But I think that's what the reporter was trying to get from him. And why is he telling him that he has to go and consult with people like Caribbean Galaxy? Where's the consciousness? Where's the consciousness of those people? Where's the consciousness in those people that they're saying they are leaders? Where is the consciousness? And I'm saying you're not shaming no investor. There's no shame in that. Why the shame should be when you came out and said that people were selling passports below the price. That should be the shame. When you made that statement, why were they able to? So they're so powerful, they're going behind government back and they're able to sell passports under the price? I don't understand that. Enlighten me, I'm colleagues.
Well, the underselling of passports seems to be an issue that we have been hearing about across the region. And if there is an issue of underselling, then there has to be investigated. Now, I'm actually, and I made the point sometime, I think in last week, that the issue of the escrows is also another major one. Because as far as I understand it, right, again, and I can only speak because I'm not somebody inside the CIV, I don't know any details about, but as far as I would understand it to work.
Again, you don't know the details, and why?
Right. I'm just
know the details.
speaking.
Why you don't know the details? We should know the details.
But right, so the point I was making, caller.
Okay, what is the administrative cost? What is when the investor puts in $250,000 US, when he pays that, if he's putting it towards construction, what actual money that St. Lucia receives into our treasury from that?
Right. So that's what I was saying. So there should be a clarity as to how that money is divided up.
Thank you.
And how much is being. I also believe that there should also be an accounting of what is being put into the escrows. Right?
Exactly.
Now, because the escrows, you see, at the end of it all, you may say that is not the state's money.
I'm so mad.
But these are funds that are being raised. These are funds that are being raised by state property, effectively, right? because
Right.
they're being raised through passports, right? They're being raised through citizenship.
Exactly.
So the state does have, in my view, a right, and the quote unquote the shareholders of the state have a right to actually
Exactly.
have
Thank
a clear
you.
picture of the issue of the escrows as well. Because to me,
Exactly.
the only
So
way
what
that they could
nonsense
be
is that
put,
I'm hearing about
I mean, I don't
not
know how the
shaming
details
investor?
of how individuals could possibly be defrauding and underselling. But to me, if you know that, look, a passport has been sold for X $1,000, so much money should have been placed into an escrow account. Was that money placed into the escrow account? Right? And that to me should already be clear as to whether in fact there was any underselling
Thank you.
of a
Thank
passport.
you.
Because an escrow is supposed to allow all parties to be able to see the government, or whether it's through the CIP unit, should be therefore the one who has to sign off on anything coming out of the escrow.
Thank you.
So you need to, at
And
any
not only
time,
that,
at
not
any
only
time,
that,
you have the right to know what's in the escrow, and I can only assume
exactly.
that you have it, that information.
But the other key point again is that if you sold 1,400 and something passports to people who have money, then which means I'm not even putting half of that. Let's say 500 of that. Those people decide, look, boy, I really want to come on the ground and start doing something. And 500 of those people come down here and say, boy, look, I want to buy a 500 acres there. I want to buy a 1,000 acres here. What will be the state of us? Huh? In that 248 square miles. What will we see? So we're going to go on indefinitely with this madness passport kind of a thing. But
in terms of the rights of purchase of land, it's a very valid question that you're asking, caller, because
I want to talk about it.
in terms of real estate, obviously, if you are gaining citizenship, you therefore, it means that you don't have to go through the process of an alien land holdings license. Albeit it appears that companies find other ways of bypassing that requirement. Sometimes they do so through the establishment of IBCs, I believe. Not sure if that has been closed off, that loophole, but it has happened. And it is a point. I mean, in terms of in any investment environment, once people are investing, if it is that they're coming in and they're purchasing land, the value of that property is going to be going up, and we've seen that happen in other places. So, but that has I mean, in terms of overall your land economy and your real estate sector, let's face it, I think already it's I wouldn't say it's a free for all, but it certainly has very few checks in terms of controlling of prices or anything of the sort, and it's pretty much a free market type of arrangement. One could argue that one of the means by which you can control that is through things like your property tax regime, looking at your land use planning. So there are other controls that perhaps one has to consider when looking at the land economy and that potential impact. But I'm not even too sure that might be actually a good problem to have, caller. The thing is that we're not actually seeing this coming forward, in terms of people actually coming on the ground and looking at making those types of investments that you're saying. And so that actually, I think, if the property values went up, right, as a result of that, and people were actually purchasing the properties at market value, it would mean that those monies would be to the benefit of property owners, who would, I assume, for the most part, would be St. Lucians. But of course, we know already. So that is that's not necessarily a bad thing if in fact we actually have individuals coming in and making investments. That would be great for our real estate. But that said, there must be considerations and accommodations for those who do not have, for social housing, for ensuring that there are places that people can afford, because it's a problem that comes as a result of a successful property market. One of the areas that's actually being impacted by that is is Airbnb, right? Airbnb is actually having an impact on real estate all over the world. It's not just a St. Lucian phenomenon. You're seeing it impacting many cities around the world where rentals are no longer in the long term pool. They're going into short term, and it's making it more difficult for people to actually be able to afford an apartment. So these things are a little not necessarily complex, but they definitely have to be considered in some of the planning that goes into allowing certain things to happen. But like I said, that might be actually a good benefit towards if in fact some of these people actually came in and invested beyond the necessarily the ownership of the passport or the citizenship. We're gonna have to leave it there though, because we're already over time, and we do hope that we can have another program tomorrow, God willing. I'm your host, Calix George Jr., saying goodbye.